Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing a Plat Zarya. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that really does help me out quite a bit. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what my rates look like, see what sort of events we have going on, like the internal scrims that look like they'll be happening this weekend. Yeah, so for now let's see our Zarya play.
Round one. Capture the objective.
Oh, this is my jam.
Ready.
Okay. No right clicks up there? I'm a little surprised. Like, this is pathing that you knew they'd be walking through. You knew that they were going to come this way. It was likely. Yes, they could have gone this way, but it was likely enough that they'd be coming this way, that having a right click or two pre-thrown is what I would expect to happen. And you know the pace at which they'll get there. You've run this map enough times. Maybe not. You're level 27. Okay, now you're doing it. Careful. This is kind of aggressive positioning-wise now that you don't have personal bubble. Oh no, your personal's still up. Now it's over. And now your rights are there. Fine. Okay. 25 ammo reload. That's a right click, man. That's a right click right at those guys, and you know Zarya doesn't have personal anymore. Excuse me. Sorry, it did have personal. I was in rewind mode. Still worth throwing the right click before reloading. And now you hit another reload at 75 ammo. That's two reloads where you only needed one to... Okay. Honestly, that bubble's a little bit early. So if you look at this bubble, I see that your Reinhardt is missing health. I see that he's swinging, but this is sort of a, I'll live. It's fine. That was sort of a telling your Reinhardt to swing bubble rather than a, hey, he wants to swing and I'm bubbling him thing, but I'll deal. Do you hear the threat to your right?
Anyone want to join me?
3 mistakes already, Temporal? Oh, did I make 3 mistakes? Okay.
Give me another shot.
Okay.
Ready. I'm ready.
You're covered.
Speaking of mistakes, this bubble is basically worthless. It's, oh, maybe I'll get a little bit of energy off of it. Can your Reinhardt do anything with this bubble? Is your Reinhardt really taking that much damage? I'm not convinced that you'll get good energy off of this, though you'll get some, and your Reinhardt can't do squat with it. So we definitely need to not use this bubble here. He either needs to have more incoming fire, or you need to save it for when he's closer. Now, you're probably thinking, hey, it's going to be enough time. He's not going to close before my next bubble is up, but you still want to make sure you get good energy out of it. Yeah, you got 14 energy out of that. 14 energy, even, I think you lose 14, maybe 16 energy. You lose something in the range of 14 energy between bubble cooldowns. Just in terms of the time it takes for the cooldown to get it back on the bubble, you lose something in the neighborhood of 14 energy. So that's not enough to get from a bubble. You won't ever make any energy progress like that.
Is that all you've got? Get to me. Ready. I'm ready.
Hey, Francisco.
Get in there. Don't be shy. Hit me.
That's the objective. Come on up.
Barrier activated.
Okay, this is a fine personal. Now you need to leave. It's a touch early. I would literally like your Reinhardt to get one step closer. Remember, he's not going to swing from here, and he also would prefer not to swing into the Zarya bubble. He's going to want to swing in a second, but he doesn't want to swing quite yet. So I'd have preferred you delayed this bubble just like 1 or 2 more steps, half a second for your Reinhardt, and then it would have been better. Because see how he doesn't even try to hit the Zarya until the Zarya's bubble is over? And you got good energy. You have 100 energy. That's great, but it needs to also enable your Reinhardt to do work.
Ready.
And only the back half of that bubble was enabling your Reinhardt, not the whole bubble.
Take your medicine. I'm ready.
Too early. You don't want to just bubble him around the corner like this. See, he's not immediately taking damage. It's going to take opponents a moment frequently, unless they're pre-set up and ready for this, and they clearly weren't going to be because you guys had previously been pressing this. If you know that they've rotated, maybe this is fine, but you don't want to just rotate it. You don't want to just bubble him as he breaks this corner right now because it's going to take them a moment to pay attention to him. So since it's going to take them a moment to pay attention to him, that's time that he's not going to be getting shot at, and you just had 100 energy over here. You're fine on energy. You don't need to bubble him for energy. You want to bubble him to enable him to swing. You want to bubble him when he's closer to this Zarya or Anna so that he's protected while he's swinging. You don't just need energy off of this. You need energy plus enabling him to do damage. This isn't good enough.
That's more like it.
And now he's purple. Your Reinhardt is purple and you can't cure it because you used your bubble early.
Ready. I'm ready.
Thank you.
Ready.
Thanks.
I am loving this.
You have my thanks.
I am your shield.
Poor kitty.
Go. Chop him up. Give me your best shot. Give me your best shot. Ready.
This is a little unfortunate. You're here. You're at 70 energy. You have personal bubble available. So this is a bit weird in that you're doing your reload and you're popping your personal bubble while you're doing your reload behind cover. Reload behind cover, correct. That is the correct place to do your reload. But your reload still has half of its duration left and you're popping your bubble now. This is weird. You actually want to step out here and start shooting at something to tempt them to shoot at you, and then you want a personal. You don't want a personal while reloading behind cover, obviously. And if we sort of look at this, just from a third-person perspective, now you're out here, and you didn't know that your Reinhardt was going to push out here. So this is annoying that your Reinhardt is robbing you of the chance to get energy off of the second half of your bubble, but you robbed yourself of the opportunity to get energy off the first half of your bubble. And now you're thinking, I still want that energy, and your bubble's over, and now you're at risk of getting hooked, which is exactly what happens. So this is a mistake on your part. The Reinhardt, he didn't make it easy for you in that he went and did that, but you just weren't aware of how long your bubble was lasting. You used your bubble too early. This is mostly on you. And then you got reset as a, 65 energy Zarya? That sucks. And it didn't have to happen.
I will never surrender.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Get in there.
You put a bubble on a deflecting Genji. He doesn't need that.
Ready.
And now you're basically worthless until you have bubbles back because you didn't get any energy. Okay. Bubbles fine. Good. A little slow to start firing at that Zarya. You could have gone with a right click even before you were over the crest of that hill, and you had been over the crest of the hill for a moment before you started firing.
I'm going. Forget to. Check out this. I'm ready. Ready.
Hmm.
Ready to deploy. I'm ready. Ready.
Get in there.
I don't love it, but okay.
Charging up.
Now you know he doesn't have bubble, now's potentially a good time to go soak some energy. Or now that you know he doesn't have hook.
I'm ready.
Give me your best shot.
What is this?
I'm ready.
Give me your best shot.
Like, your Reinhardt is mostly between you and the enemies. This hog might shoot at you, but he's probably going to shoot at your Reinhardt. Your Reinhardt is this big, bulky target, mostly between you and the Zarya. Or mostly between you and the Reinhardt. Definitely between you and the Zarya, and you and the Anna, and you and the Hanzo. This isn't a particularly good time to be personal bubbling. If you wanted to, you had to step in front of him to personal bubble. You can't do it back here. This is you trying to will yourself energy. It's not a good habit. And now you're staying aggressive like you still have personal bubble when you don't.
Barriers on you.
Fine.
Огонь по готовности.
Good.
I'm ready.
The Rhine dance.
Nanoboost is ready to deploy.
Go.
Rendezvous at my position.
I hope you don't want that bubble back.
Ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Get in there.
What is he supposed to do with that?
I'm ready.
What do you think your Reinhardt is going to do with this bubble? The best thing Reinhardt can do with this bubble is go, I guess I'll drop my shield. He's not going to push up and fight this hog. By the time he gets to the hog, his bubble will be over. Like, this is purely a greed energy bubble on your part, and that's not good enough. It has to enable Reinhardt to do work. Like, think about it like this. Pretend the other team was also Zarya Reinhardt. If you're just greeding energy, even if you're getting 40 energy from the bubble, and the other team Zarya is getting 40 energy from the bubble and enabling their Reinhardt to get 2 swings off for 170 damage, their team is going to win. It's that simple. So even if there's not a Zarya on the other team, you still want to be thinking that way, where your bubble has to give more value than just getting you energy. It has to be protection that is meaningful, and this protection is not meaningful because your Reinhardt can just put his shield up right now if he wants to be protected, or it has to enable someone to do good offensive damage, like your Rein to swing, your Reaper to push really hard, your Doomfist to stay in longer than normal, that kind of thing. This is just a greedy bubble.
Get in there.
I don't mind being looser with your bubble cooldown in cleanup phase, but huh? Huh?
Heal up. Ready.
Give me your best shot.
Okay, so you have some really questionable personal bubbles. You also have some, we'll call them greedy bubbles, where they're, hey, Reinhardt, soak energy for me. You can do that if you're not going to close on them. It's okay to bubble your Reinhardt just for energy. If your teams are still far apart in the poke phase and you're pretty confident that you're not going to have any sort of brawling happen until you'd have your cooldown back again. But that is the exception, not the norm. That is when teams are approaching fights, not when you get closer. If your Ryan is going to want to bubble to swing in the next 8 seconds, you shouldn't be spending bubble. Unless it allows him to swing.
I'm ready.
Well, that's not strictly true. Your Ryan might want to bubble to swing in the next 8 seconds, but you'll still spend it to save someone who got hooked by a Roadhog hook or something, but you shouldn't just spend it for energy.
Ready. I'm ready. Ready.
You can see the Pharaoh. You can see the boop coming at you. And Shift will save you. Shift will still save you. Shift will too late.
I'm ready. Ready.
I am not a good loser.
I'm ready. The objective.
Ready.
McCree, at your service.
Go! Don't be shy.
Obviously, a 5 energy bubble doesn't work.
My ultimate is charging.
That 15 or energy bubble doesn't really work either. Now you can push left if you want. That. So many bubbles to only be at 40 energy.
Barrier activated.
Okay, you took a rocket, fine. Okay. Let's see if we can actually get our team organized to push a 6 through right.
Thank you.
I am not a good loser.
I'm ready.
Go!
My ultimate is ready. My ultimate is ready. My ultimate is ready. Join.
I'm ready. Ready.
No, your Reinhardt had the right idea. You guys need to go right.
Barrier is on you.
Fine.
Oh,
Stay behind your Rein shield.
I'm ready.
You guys have the picks. Just stay behind your Rein shield.
Ready.
give me your best shot.
Good. He doesn't have hook. Your Zen should be fine. That's too early. Your Reinhardt can't use this.
More
Like,
light.
congrats. You got decent energy off of it, but your Reinhardt can't use this.
Ready. I'm ready.
Barrier activated.
For what? For this Anna that might turn and look at you? She's not looking at you. For this Hog that is using Take a Breather? For this Hanzo that isn't even thinking about looking at you? For this Zarya that has no way to get at you because there's a Rhine between you? What is this for? If you had personal bubble, you might have just melted her. Maybe. You were pretty high energy.
Ready.
Ready for battle.
Coming at you.
Why would you walk like this as opposed to walking like this where you can keep them honest with your weapon? If they're scared of your weapon because you can right click them at this distance, it's going to put them under more pressure. It's going to put them under more pressure and make them try to be more evasive. And them doing that is going to make them aim worse. And also you'll see this hook coming and have a chance to test your reaction time to block it with your personal bubble. There's very little reason to just walk across without looking. Like if I can't see them, they can't shoot at me. If I can't see them, they can't see me and they can't shoot at me. No, that's not how it works. Look this way as you're going across.
Ready for battle.
This is like a 2800 game is my understanding.
This fight is not over. Barrier is on me.
Yeah. So this round was pretty garbage. Now that wasn't all your fault. Your bubbles were pretty bad, and your deciding when to stay in places, how to transition was pretty bad too. But I'm not gonna lie, some of that was just your team couldn't get organized for when to push as a group across the dangerous rotations, which you can't totally control that.
Ready.
Give it your all.
Ready. I'm ready. Ready. I'm ready.
4, 3, 2, 1. Round 3. Capture the objective.
I'm ready.
Yeah, doesn't really matter. I mean, like, you could, but doesn't really matter.
Ready.
It's not to say it's irrelevant, sure, but there's so much higher order problems right now. Right.
Charging up.
Okay. You have 4 energy and you have both bubbles on cooldown. This is painful. I suppose I should go back and micro the bubbles. You have both bubbles available. Okay. You see grenades incoming.
Give me your best shot.
Why are you personal bubbling? Okay, we're going to cover this. You don't personal bubble in core like this. You step in front of your Reinhardt to personal bubble while they're shooting at your Reinhardt, and then go, hey, I'm soaking some damage from my Reinhardt, and I'm more threatening when up here. Or you off angle, and because you're shooting at an angle that's different than the angle that your team is shooting at from behind your Rein shield, you are more threatening to the other team, and they are more likely to shoot at you. And you're okay with them being more likely to shoot at you because you have your personal bubble available. And then while they're shooting at you, you pop your personal bubble, you do some work, and you start to drift back to behind your Reinhardt shield because you don't want to still be here when your personal bubble is over. You want to drift back to your Rein shield. You are way too often when you're sort of in the middle of your team, like the middle, like Reinhardt's in front of you, other people are behind you, just popping your personal bubble. I don't know why, but it's bad. Your personal bubble is either, hey, I'm in front of my Reinhardt, or hey, I'm on an angle and they've started shooting at me. None of this, I'm popping my personal bubble in the middle of the team, unless there's something going on, like, hey, a tracer's doing a pulse bomb or things like that. But none of this, like, oh, I'm just popping it in the middle of my team because I feel scared. You scared of what? Or did you expect your Reinhardt to just let this Junkrat nade through? Like, you were way late to pop your personal bubble if it was for the Junkrat nade we were talking about. And you shouldn't expect him to do that. You should get in front and take it intentionally yourself if that's what you want to do.
Go.
And then you just pop your team bubble on what?
Give me your best shot.
On your Junkrat who's low, so like, okay, but your personal bubble is already blocking for this Junkrat. You're using both bubbles here, and your bubble is protecting most of your Junkrat's hitbox. You don't need to use a second one. Oh well.
Charging up.
Your team is basically playing down a hero because they don't have Zarya bubbles, nor does their Zarya have energy.
Barriers on me. Go.
Okay. That's not a great Rhine bubble. It's really not. He's not going to swing with that. Or rather, he's going to swing, but he was already going to swing because the Zarya's not looking at him. Now would be a better bubble. But when I say now would be a better bubble, I mean now would be a better Reinhardt bubble. What? Who is possibly going to shoot at your personal bubble? Who? Who is going to shoot at your personal bubble? You have 80% health, and you have a bubbled Reinhardt in front of you, and no one has anything resembling an angle on you. Oh, but it protects you from the Ashe over here. Oh, wait, there's no Ashe over here. Oh, but it protects you from the McCree up here. Oh, wait, that's your McCree up here. Oh, but it protects you from the Hog who's angling over. Oh, wait, no, the Hog is back here. Ah, yeah, but the guy is going to... Oh, no, there's no guy here. Like... Oh, but it protects us from the McCree. The McCree's the thing. You mean the McCree who barely can see any of our silhouette because we're behind the column in reference to him? Like, no, no.
Everyone on the objective. Give me your best
Junkrat cannot see you. Congratulations, Anna can see you. Obviously, Hog isn't going to get you from here. Hog can't even see you. I don't even know that you know that Anna can see you, and you're certainly not in a health position where you're worried about Anna sniping a shot at you. You gotta contemplate these personal bubbles a bit. You're looking to use your personal bubble when you're holding an aggressive angle. Let me rephrase this. You are looking to use personal bubble when you are taking damage and expect to continue taking damage. Okay. 1. Taking damage. Plus expect more. So you're already taking damage. You've lost 100 health. You've lost 180 health. You're taking damage and you expect to take more damage. Or you see projectiles incoming. Those are good reasons to use personal bubbles. Ways to set this up to happen are going to be off angle. Doesn't have to be a giant off angle, but a little bit of an off angle away from your Reinhardt so that you're shooting from a different place than he's threatening from. They don't like that. You being on an off angle is basically a damage buff because it gives you the ability to hit different people, which, is better than hitting the shield. They will want to shoot at you to make you go back to your Rhine, which will give you a chance to personal bubble, or you go in front of your Rhine. That's also more aggressive positioning. It's not as good, but it's more aggressive positioning, and they were probably already shooting at your Rhine with their brain somewhat turned off, so there's a good chance that you can absorb the damage that was meant for your Reinhardt. And it potentially lets your Reinhardt drop his shield and swing through you at the other Reinhardt if he's in a Reinhardt battle and you guys are close to each other. It can be the other Reinhardt doesn't really want to swing because it will give you energy and he knows that, but your Reinhardt can swing through your bubble and your bubble offers him some protection against the ranged heroes. Those are two different good ways you can. Let me rephrase that. I gave you how I want you to use your personal bubble in 2 steps, and I gave you 2 things you can do that will make it so you'll probably have a good opportunity to get a good personal bubble. Okay.
Get in there.
I mean, yeah, Game Buster, I'm getting salty over the bubble usage, but has this Zarya had more than 40 energy this round? The Hog's not looking at you. I like that you've taken the off angle. That's one of the first steps I talked about. You don't have projected bubble to give to Reinhardt right now, so I'll live with the fact that you've separated line of sight from him. I like that you've taken an off angle. That's good in that it's going to encourage the opposing team to shoot at you. But you don't see a projectile incoming. Hoghook is a projectile. Nor are you taking hit scan damage or any sort of damage and expecting to be taking more yet. They have to be looking at you for you to believe that you're going to take more damage. And a really good sign that you're going to take more damage is that you're currently taking damage. You pop this bubble at 100% health. So no. So like you're halfway there. You're like, hey, I'm going to take an off angle. That'll encourage them to shoot at me. But before they can even be slightly corralled into shooting at you, you use your personal bubble. So now you didn't even get time. And if they never shoot at you when you take this off angle, you just do a ton of work. And you go, okay, well, I guess I'm losing energy, but I'm doing a ton of work even at low energy from this off angle. So, hey, I'll take it. Now, you didn't get to do a bunch of work on this off angle, and you're going to have to leave because you don't have personal bubble, so you don't feel safe maintaining this off angle. Or you shouldn't feel safe maintaining it.
Ultimate is almost ready.
That was a personal bubble.
Let's equals.
The projected bubble got some value, but oh no, maybe we did step in front. Here's a personal bubble. So you like walked up here and were able to get value out of your personal bubble barely, by the absolute fraction of time remaining on your personal bubble. You popped it all the way back here. You popped it all the way back here to try to run up with it to go block this hog shot. And you blocked the hog shot barely. Get closer. Get here before you pop your bubble and run in front. Get into your Ryan's hitbox before you pop the bubble, and your bubble will blossom, make your hitbox bigger, and block the hog shot. Like, you can be here before you pop this bubble. You did not have to pop the bubble back here and risk getting 0 value out of it. You could have popped it literally right here. You're not in any danger of taking damage. You pop your bubble makes your hitbox bigger than Ryan's, and the bubble takes the damage. Okay, that's fine.
Go.
Yeah, that was a fine bubble. But it's a projected bubble. Yes!
Charge.
Yes! Do that with your personal bubble. Thank you. See how your Reinhardt is taking damage, they're poking at you, they're sort of mindlessly shooting at your Rein shield because that's what you do right now, and you go, not I'm going to pop my bubble back here and run to try to get in front of my Rein shield, I'm going to run and get to like here before I think about popping my bubble, here even, and then pop my bubble. And it immediately gets value. It's not like it really did great stuff, but it got you energy. And for your personal bubble, it's okay to just get energy. For your projected bubble, you want to do more than get energy. But for your personal bubble, it's okay to go, especially in this poke phase, hey, I got energy and I protected my Rhine shield from a little bit of spam. In the poke phase, that's totally fine. You can even get away with that with projected bubbles in the poke phase. But with your personal bubble, you're more willing to do that because you can play more defensively. You can play more safely when you know you don't have personal bubble available. Your team, you control a little less, so you like to get more value out of your bubble. This is good. More bubbles like this, please. And you can see you've been rewarded with a good projected bubble on your Anna, followed by a good personal bubble on yourself with 100 energy. You had 100 energy, you had high energy plenty of times in a previous round. You have had very poor energy this whole round until you got 2 good bubbles in a row, one of each. And what they've both been holding you back, but this is the one that's really been holding you back. So we need to really focus on making this consistently better.
My ultimate is charging.
Take the objective.
Get in there.
I'm ready.
Bring it.
This is called sound barrier, beat, whatever. Gives you a ton of extra temporary health. Ton of extra temporary health. Why would you personal bubble? Is this a nade that you're like 100% sure is going to hit you and you're going, hey, we're in the cleanup phase, so I'll settle what I can get energy-wise? It's not. Enemies aren't particularly likely to shoot at you while you have this stupid amount of temporary health. So unless you see a projectile that you're intentionally going to take, you don't personal yet. Sure enough, didn't work out. Oh look, now your personal might be better because this McCree is sort of forced to be shooting at you.
Double.
Ready. Get here.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Go. Barrier activated.
Being in a
Barriers on you.
I'm ready.
Don't hold back.
Okay.
Give me your best shot.
Did you hear a hook that you were reacting to? If not, you're gonna what? Try to block the first right click of his? You know, you don't block his first right click unless you clearly see it coming. You're not worried about him getting one right click on you. If he gets you down 100 health, 150 health, he's gonna be interested in trying to do more. But you have 400 health to play with, so if he gets one right click on you, who cares? You don't need to block the first right click with your damage. He's much more tempted to keep shooting at you once you've lost a little bit of health. Bubble. Late, but okay. You can go, if you want to go body block for your Reinhardt, that's fine. He's struggling to get out of there and that shield's about to go. So if you want to go personal bubble block for him, I'm fine with that.
Barrier activated.
Not back up in personal bubble, walk forward in personal bubble and then back up in front of your Reinhardt.
Hit me.
Fine.
Give me your best shot.
Okay, you took damage from an Ana shot. The Roadhog is reloading. It's better than some of your personal bubbles.
I am strong. Огонь по готовности. Gravity kills.
Nope.
Barriers on you. Go.
What? Was that just yoinked? Were you trying to get Reinhardt? You clicked that before Reinhardt was on your screen, but okay.
Ready for battle.
This was a better personal bubble. Even if you don't get value out of it, this was better because you look at this. You've taken 100 damage, you're in retreat, and the enemy team is clearly pushing, and you're in the open space. You're down to 100 health.
Bring it.
You personal bubble, the other team would like to be shooting at you. Even if you didn't get a ton of energy out of that, that was a better bubble. Okay.
Victory.
So, your homework is to work on your personal bubbles. You also need to work on your projected bubbles. Your grav could use some work. You're thinking about which bubble you want to have available for grav could use some work. There's lots of things that we could work on. You have a little bit of the reload thing. You have some preemptive right-click stuff where it comes to, hey, you can throw right-clicks where you know enemies are going to be because they're likely to walk into them, and that's value, and that keeps your engine going on the ult charge, all that good stuff. But your homework is to work on your personal bubbles. I gave you two different two-step things for getting good personal bubbles. One is when I want you to use personal bubbles, and the other is two things that you can do that will encourage you to end up in situations where you will get those good personal bubbles. So you can think of that as 4 steps if you want. But please work on those. Please really go, hey, I'm going to play 15 games and I'm going to intentionally use my personal bubbles like this. And after 2 or 3 games, I'm going to go look, I'm going to review one of my games. Maybe I'm going to do it at 2 times speed, 1.5 times speed, but I'm going to look at every personal bubble use and see if it looks much improved. See if it looks like it's getting better. If it's not, I'm going to now put more brain power while I'm playing the game into working on it, even if the rest of my gameplay falls off. If it does look improved, that's great. I'm going to keep doing it for a bit, and then I'm going to try to move on to an improving on something else. And if when I move on to improving on something else, my personal bubbles start getting worse again, I'm going to go right back and keep focusing on my personal bubbles, and I'm going to keep doing so until when I move on, they don't fall off very much. They mostly stay in their improved state, because you're leaving a lot, and I mean a lot, of value on the table on Zarya with your personal bubble in the middle of your team stuff that you're doing. Like, a lot. Personal bubbles are for when you're off angled from your team and therefore getting shot at because you're threatening there, but when you're actually getting shot at, not just because you're off angling, or for stepping in front of your Reinhardt to take damage that was meant for him, to enable him to swing, all that good stuff. Okay, if anyone has questions, go ahead and let me know. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join the Discord in the description below, see what my rates look like, see what sort of promos, events we have coming up. We do have internal scrims for the server for members of the Discord that is likely to happen on Sunday. If you're interested in a different day this week, you need to get into the server now and cast your vote isn't really right, and check off on your availability so that we can see if we potentially have more interest in a different day. But it's looking like Sunday, and I will be finalizing that later today if we don't get more availability check-ins and all of that. Okay, I know I was tough on you, Suba. I was a little tougher than I am on most Plat players, I suppose, but I think you can do better, and I think you can do a lot better, and I think this is going to be an easy change, and you're going to want me to have been tough on you, I expect, because my being tough on you means, hey, this has been made super obvious to me, and I can now go ahead and make this change, and I can really see how much it was holding me back. And if you don't feel that way, oh well. Okay. So let's take a look here. Chat wise, except to clear Discord. My Ryan doesn't dance. He only goes forward except to clear distance. That's the way to go, forward only. No, you guys can use walls. You can enforce corners. No, it's not. You don't have to only go forward as Ryan. Like, you can be a Reinhardt on defense with point control standing right here and just swing into the opening. That's totally fine. You don't need to be going forward. You can just go, no, I'm going to swing into the opening. Okay. What else do I have? Is a hard stuck Plat Zarya main? This is very as a hard stuck Plat Zarya main, this is very helpful to watch. Glad you enjoyed it, Max. Hey man, can you talk about Zarya target selection? Okay, so that I can talk about. So for Zarya, you have some range limitations. Your right click, of course, has much better range, but what you're looking to do with Zarya, especially in these Brawl v Brawl type setups, like you have right here, where it's sort of a Brawl team versus sort of a Brawl team, you usually get that on Control Center, is you shoot at the target that is accessible to you with your beam if they are off angling a bit. So if no one is off angling, you're just gonna have to shoot at the Rhine shield, and that generally means you're gonna shoot at the Reinhardt. If someone is stepping to the side, like a Zarya, we talked about how it was powerful for a Zarya to step to the side and off angle because it means they can try to they have a different angle, they can try to shoot around the shield, they can try to lob stuff past the shield. If a target is off angling a little bit, you want to apply damage to them, either to delete them, which would be good, to force them to use cooldowns like McCree rolling back, Hanzo hopping back, Zarya using personal bubble, Mei using ice block, Reaper using Wraith to go back. You want to force those things because then your team will have a tempo advantage. So even though you'll have given up some damage on the Rhine shield or on the Reinhardt, either one, I don't care because they're both going to have to be mostly defeated before you take down the Rhine. You want to shoot at the target that's off angling a bit. Maybe it's a Genji up here. You want to force them to use their deflect. You want to force them to rejoin the Rhine. If the other team loses its off angles, even at small off angles, to go back to behind the Rhine shield, you're more likely to win the fight. Off angles are like a damage buff because you compromise cover for the other team, you get ways to shoot around it, you get better target options. So if you shoot at the people who off angle a little bit that you can reach with your left click to either force defensive cooldowns or to make them go back behind the Reinhardt, that's good because either you get a cooldown advantage or you get a positional advantage against them. So that's what you want to do. That is your target selection with Zarya. Beyond that, if you have to pick between, hey, I have a McCree right here, right next to the Rhine shield, but a little bit back, but still in left click range, or a Pharah up over here, you're going to shoot at the McCree because that's the target that you can reliably hit. The Pharah might have better damage, but you can force the McCree back more quickly. You can force them to lose that buff more effectively than you can force the Pharah. Or if there's an Ashe over here, you're not going to lob right clicks at the Ashe if the McCree is standing right here, or the Reaper is standing right here, and you can force their giving up position or their using of a cooldown or both by putting left click damage on them. So your preference is you're going to go after the off angling target that is accessible with your beam, and if there is no accessible target with your beam, then you're going to get more into, okay, I'll just apply constant pressure to this Rhine shield that's here, etc. And if I don't even have that, sure, I'll try to throw right clicks at a Pharah, a Ashe, whatever is there. I hope that answers your question. I haven't answered it in every phase, but I've answered it in the late poke / brawl phase for you pretty well. Okay. Zarya target selection. What is the average energy goal for matches as Zarya? I don't like to get into this is what your stat should say. Sorry, blah. I don't like to get into that because it depends what you're playing into and against. Like if you're playing Zarya against a brawl comp, you're going to have higher energy than if you're playing Zarya against a dive comp. And you might say, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't play Zarya against the dive comp. Maybe you shouldn't. But there's ways to make it work. I mean, we've seen A10 climb to what, top Zarya, top tank even in what was a hybrid meta where Zarya didn't really make sense. So it's doable. It varies too much because of the options of what you can play against, and also your energy is going to be lower if the other team spends a lot of time in spawn planning their next move, right? So like even if you're crushing the other team, if they're spending a lot of time in spawn planning their next move, your average energy is going to be lower, but you're still winning. I don't like to get that heavy into stats like that. Are you focused more on Rhine going down or healer picks? It's rare that you're going to have an opportunity to go after healers as Zarya. You are more focused on forcing the DPS. I mean, if a Zen was standing right here, sure, you're going to melt the Zen to make them go back here or to eliminate them or to force trans, etc. But most of the time, you are playing with people either on minor off angles or with the Reinhardt in that order. You don't very often get to go after supports. And you're just happy to go, that's fine, I will out damage them. I will apply enough damage to this team that their healers can't keep up. Or that even if their healers can keep up, I'm shooting a hero like McCree, where the healers might in theory be able to keep up from a pure HPS versus DPS standpoint, but they won't actually be able to keep up because McCree's health pool is small enough that if they don't pay attention to him even for a second and a half, he's gone, type thing. Is it true that wearing a scarf helps players rank up quicker? I don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, the scarf works for me. I'm a, I do coaching and the scarf is fantastic. I quite enjoy the scarf, but believe it or not, I'm a pretty good coach even without the scarf on. I know, blasphemy. But hey, I think the scarf is pretty great though. Temporal, who can I bubble if my Rhino is passive and isn't pressing W enough for me to bubble him? The answer to that is going to be Doomfist, Reaper, potentially a Genji, that gets a little harder because of Deflect, potentially a Tracer. Anyone who can go in hard, basically. A Pharah that could be going in hard. People who have aggressive positions and are getting aggressive with those aggressive positions. The other option is when your team gets dove, but that won't happen consistently enough. Your best targets are basically going to be your Rhines, your Reapers, your Doomfists. Okay. I think that's going to do it, and I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break here, but I'm glad you guys have been around, and I look forward to seeing you later. Thanks. Temporal out.